Hey, this is Eric, and thanks so much for joining me for this session, Super Tutor AI to support all learners. Before we dive on in, just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, I want to make sure you can get to the resource document for this session. You can find that at bit.ly/Kurtz-AI support. That's going to get you to a document that looks like this, and that document has everything in there that we're going to be exploring during the session. Again, that's bit.ly/Kurtz-AI support. Real quick overview of that document. At the very top of it, you'll find all of my contact information. Please feel free to connect any way that works best for you. And then on the second page of the document, you'll find access to the slideshow if you do want to access that. Also, there's a link here to my main AI resource page. That'll take you out to my Control-Alt-Achieve blog, and will take you specifically to my AI page where you'll find all of my resource documents and training videos and blog posts and tool spotlights. There's a lot of stuff there. So way beyond just what we're covering in this session. And then the rest of the document, well, that's all the stuff we're going to be exploring throughout this session. So feel free to pull that up so you can follow along while I'm going through these tools. You can try them out yourself. And of course, go back to that document again in the future as I will continue to add new things to it over time. All right, with that said, what is this session all about? So this session, Super Tutor, AI tools to support all learners, may be a session that is appropriate for you if you are a special educator, maybe working with students on IEPs, for example. Certainly, it's a good match. There's a lot of great tools in this session that could help support you in your job and support the students that you're working with. At the same time, I don't want to just limit it to special education, because I think good support tools are good for all learners. Every student in one way or another struggles, and so I think it's great to have a broad view of these tools, that they can be used by you, they can be used by all of your students. It's good to know that these exist and then take advantage of them when it makes sense. So we'll leave it at that. This is a session of tools that can be used to support all learners. And we're basically going to do it in two pieces. We're going to look at educator tools and student tools. So the first batch is going to be tools that you could use as a teacher or guidance counselor, a special ed director, whatever the case might be. Tools you could use to help support students. And the second chunk is going to be more student-facing tools that the students would use, probably with your guidance, but still the students themselves would be interacting with those tools. And I just kind of split them up into those two main categories there, and we'll dive in and take a look. All right, let's go ahead and get started with educator tools. Now, again, as we go through this, all of this is in the document. So everything I'm about to show you here, if you scroll on down to page 2 under educator tools, here you'll see all of the different examples I'm going to be talking about here as we work on down through this list. All right, so these are not in any particular order, just some of the ones I wanted to highlight as tools, AI tools that could assist you as you support your students. So one of the first ones I'll give a shout out to is MagicSchool. Probably a really well-known AI tool, one of the most well-known tools out there, but for good reason. Basically, MagicSchool has loads and loads and loads and loads of pre-made activities or prompts that you can use that will then connect with AI and generate content for you. Especially great if you're not really sure what to type in. Like if you go to ChatGPT and you're like, okay, I'm not really sure what to put in here. Well, MagicSchool has you covered because it already has all that set up for you. So I'm going to go ahead and pull MagicSchool on over here so we can take a look at it. I am logged in at the moment. When you do get logged into MagicSchool, what you should be greeted by is a page where you can see all of the tools. And there are a lot. There's a wide range of tools. And in each case, these tools, you can go in and say, hey, I do want to, take advantage of one of these tools here. Maybe I'm going to go in and grab the, IEP generator. Well, I could give a click on that, and then what's going to happen is it's going to provide me with some boxes to fill in. It's going to say, hey, what's the grade level? What's the disability category? What's the description of the student's behaviors, needs, and strengths? And so it's sort of it's meeting you halfway. So it's providing you with some boxes that you're going to fill in, and then when you generate, it will then reach out to the AI tool to interact with it and submit the prompt and bring back the result to you. Now, there's a lot of tools here. There's a lot, a wide range. Since this session is focusing on more tools to support learners, one thing you can do is you can just use their little filters here and go to the student support section there. And that'll take all of these tools and kind of reduce it down to just a smaller handful that are a little more designed for supporting students. So it's things like re-leveling a text so it's at the appropriate reading level for a student. We already saw the IEP generator, things like, providing feedback on writing. We've got an assignment scaffolder. We've got a 504 plan generator, a BIP generator. We've got accommodation suggestions. And again, I'm not saying these are the only ones that do student support. If you go back to all, there's going to be others in here that certainly would lend themselves well to supporting students. But this is a good place to start. This is a good way to start diving into this. Let's just look at a quick example so you can just see it in action. Let's say we did want to re-level some text. Well, that's what we do. We'd come in here, click on the text re-leveler, and we would choose the grade level we want the text to be at, and then we would go ahead and paste in what that original text was. Now, for a lot of my examples here today, I'm going to be using this article. It's an article on how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. So heads up, you'll probably be seeing this one a whole lot throughout this session here. And so what I could do is I could say, okay, let's grab the text from there. I've got it in a different window here. I'll copy and paste it over. There we go. So there's the text from the article. I could say, you know what? Let's say we want to, maybe drop this down to a 5th grade reading level. Well, at that point, I can just go ahead and hit generate, give it a moment, and it's going to take that original one, and there we go. It is rewriting a new version of that article, but in this case, at a 5th grade reading level. I can come in here and just simply copy that and use that any way I want. If I wanted to, of course, I could also ask follow-up questions if I wanted to tweak it a little bit more, but there you go. And so that would be one tool that I would recommend as a teacher or whatever role you may have. Check out MagicSchool in general, but here's a handful of the prompt tools that it has in there that I think lend themselves specifically to supporting our students, and hopefully those will also support you as you're doing that. All right, well, let's move on to another tool. How about Khanmigo? So Khanmigo is from the folks that do Khan Academy, and it's very similar. It's going to look an awful lot like MagicSchool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll pull it on over here as well. There we go. So here's the Khanmigo website. And right away, you're going to say, yeah, this looks pretty similar to what we just saw there. And you're right. It certainly does. It's going to have, a lot of these pre-made prompts that you can go through and click on and then use those to generate content. And likewise, I thought there were several in there that I thought lent themselves well to supporting students. Things like chunking text or an IEP assistant or creating clear directions or, again, a text leveler or making a lesson relevant to students. So, for example, if I came in here and let's find the leveler. We just did one example. We'll just do it again here and see how it looks. So we could pop into here and say, okay, let's grab that same article again. And again, I'm just going to copy this from the other screen here. So there's the title of the article. Let's grab the original text of the article here. Give me just a moment to copy that. There we go. And then, of course, pick the reading level. I think we did 5th grade. We'll stick with that. And that's it. Hit rewrite it, and away it goes. It is now going to generate a 5th grade reading level version of that article. When it's all done, once again, I could copy it. I could export it, do with it as I need to. There's an export option up here. I can easily send that over to Google Drive or however I might want to use it after that. Now, you may say, well, Eric, this looks pretty similar. Why would you show both MagicSchool and Khanmigo? So here's the thing. Every tool I'm showing you here every tool, all have a viable free option. I do not share tools that are only paid, that everything's hidden behind a paywall. I always make sure that if I'm sharing a tool, it's a tool that has a good, robust, free version. Well, that's true for all of these, but here's the really cool thing. Khanmigo actually is completely free for educators to use. So when you go to the Khanmigo website, if you follow the link that I've included in here for the teacher tools, when you get there, there'll be a banner that asks you to identify yourself as a teacher, saying that anybody who's an educator is allowed to use it for free. So they got this really great funding that allowed them to make this available. So that's one of the big reasons I share this. Is I love Magic School. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome, and I share it because there are so many awesome tools that it provides. But if you're not paying for it, you will hit a cap. You will hit a limit during the day as you're using this tool. And that could, of course, limit your ability to use it as much as you want. So it's great to have this tool, but it's also nice to have Khanmigo because, like I said, there is no limit here. You can just go into Khanmigo and use these tools as much as you want. Just identify yourself as a teacher when you set up your account. Good stuff. All right, what's next? Brisk, another one of my favorite tools. There's so many good ones out here. So Brisk does a lot of things. Again, we're focusing on how to support students, but what is Brisk? Brisk is a little different than these other tools in the sense that you're not going to go to the Brisk website. Instead, you're going to install the Brisk extension. It's a Chrome web extension. Now you can go to the website, but all you would do when you go there, here I'll pull the site over, is you would click on the button that says Add to Chrome. And when you give a click on that, that'll take you to the Chrome Web Store. I've already got the extension installed, but you would have an Add to Chrome button. You could click that and install the extension. Now, of course, make sure that your school has approved Brisk. Otherwise, when you go to install it, it'll yell at you and say you don't have permission. So you may need to work with your tech folks on that. But here's the point. Once you get Brisk installed, now anytime you go somewhere like this Caterpillar article that we were looking at earlier, look down in the bottom corner and you'll see, there's a little icon down there, a little bee. Well, that's the Brisk icon down there. Because I've got the extension installed, this little Brisk button follows me around. I can give a click on it, and there we go. I now have access to all of these Brisk tools. And there are several, and there's a lot in here, but there's several that I think would lend themselves well to what we're talking about today. So for example, if I go to the Create button, that's going to allow me to create content, quizzes, rubrics, exemplars, lesson plans, etc., etc. There's definitely some things in here that I think do lend themselves well to supporting all students. Things like DOK questions, making sure you have questions that hit all different levels. Or there's a decodable text generator. There's one for making guided notes. There's even an IEP goal plan. So there's a lot of good options in there that could support a student. So for example, let's say we do the guided notes. So like, hey, you're going to read this article, but here's some guided notes you can fill out while you're reading it. Well, no worries. Just click on guided notes and pick the grade level you want this to be. If you want to add any additional directions, you can, but I'll just leave it as it is. Hit the Brisk button, give that a moment, and here we go. It is now generating a Google Doc that is going to serve as guided notes. So while the student is reading the article, they have something to organize the information and to fill it in as they go through. Other cool things Brisk can do, if you click on the Brisk button, besides creating, it does a whole bunch of things, but it also does change level. Hey, there you go, another leveler. That's a very common tool. I can click change level and say, you know what, let's drop that down to a 5th grade level. And we'll click on the change reading level button, give it a moment, and just like we saw in the other tools, it is doing the same thing. It is taking that original content and putting that at a new level for us. So we'll see Brisk again. Some of these tools will make a second visit during the student portion of this, where we'll see a few more things they do. But as a teacher support tool to help support your students, it's an excellent one for you there. And it does work in a lot of formats. It works if you're on a website. It works for YouTube videos. It works for documents, slideshows, forms. most content, you can apply Brisk to the content. All right, let's keep going. What else can we mention for teachers? How about Diffit? Yeah, speaking of re-leveling, since we've been talking about that a lot, Diffit definitely is one that fits well into that category. This is a website where you give it an article or a PDF or a topic or a pasted bit of text, and it re-levels it, but it doesn't just re-level it. It also generates support materials to go along with it. So let's grab Diffit. We'll bring it on over here, and I'll go ahead and get signed in. I'm not sure if I'm signed up. Looks like I am signed in. Just want to make sure. There we go. And basically, when you get to Diffit, it's going to ask you to submit the original content. Is it just a topic that you want it to expand on? Is it an article, a PDF online, a YouTube video that you want the kids to watch? Or is it a PDF you want to upload? Or is it a text you want to paste in? Well, I'm just going to stick with the same thing we've been doing. I'm just going to grab this Caterpillar article here, grab that link, and I'll just say, hey, this is an article, and I want you to adjust this article. And again, let's drop it down to 5th grade. That's fine. And I think we're good to go. Let's hit generate resources. So basically, it also is going to take the original article. It's going to make a new version. That's at the 5th grade level. But it does do a little bit more than that. It also creates some additional support materials. So here is the original article now. So this is the 5th grade version of it. So there's the new version of the article. I can copy that and use it. I can also adjust the length. It's short at the moment, but I could make it longer if I wanted. But here's the cool thing about it. It doesn't just make this new leveled version. It also creates a nice bullet point summary. It pulls out key vocabulary words with definitions and example sentences, so that could come alongside and support a student. It also has multiple choice questions and answers, short answer questions and answers, and open-ended prompts. And you can copy and use any of this to help support your students as they're working through that content. Excellent stuff there. All right, and that brings us to the last thing I'm going to mention for educators. Then we'll switch over to talking about students. So the last thing I would mention when it comes to educators is just regular AI chatbots using things like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Claude from Anthropic. All three of these are great. There's many more, but those are three I'm highlighting in this particular example here. And the idea behind this is, yeah, all these other tools have been fantastic. You know, Diffit and Brisk and Khanmigo and MagicSchool. But they're also a little bit guided, which that's a benefit. They're kind of, giving you some guidance, asking you to fill in boxes, and they do a lot of the heavy lifting. Well, at some point, though, you may want to just go straight to the AI chatbot itself and type in your own prompts and have, as much flexibility as possible. So let's do that. Let's try out ChatGPT. Now, again, I love Gemini. I love Claude. Any of these would be fine, and every one of them has a free version. You do not have to pay for these. You can totally use the free version. I would encourage you to get an account with all of them so that if you end up using one too much, one day you can, pop over to another one later and spread out your free usages there. But let's grab ChatGPT. I'll pull it on over here, and let's try out a couple of prompts. So what are some of the things we could do? So again, if I'm trying to support my students, if this is all about, helping support my students, it could be things like, again, releveling content, summarizing content, generating support materials that go along with content, maybe generating leveled, personalized content, differentiating content. So many possibilities. Now, I'm going to just throw a couple examples in here. Heads up, you'll find all of these in the agenda. If you scroll down to the section on AI chatbots, and then you see example uses, you'll see lots and lots of examples. All these links here will take you to documents or blogs or previous chats that you can explore to see exactly what I typed in each of these cases if you want to copy and use those same prompts. But for example, let's say we want to relevel content. Okay, I know we've done that a whole bunch, but let's say we want to do it again just so you can see how it works. I could come to ChatGPT and just say, hey, rewrite the text at a simpler reading level. Keep all the same content, but rephrase the text in a way that is simpler and easier for a student to understand. And then I could just paste that text in. So I'm just going to grab the Caterpillar article that we've been using this whole time. Just going to paste it in. There it is. So there we go. There's my instruction. Hey, and I'll zoom in a bit so you guys can see this a little better. Hey, rewrite this at a simpler level. Keep all the same content, just rephrase it so it's simpler and easier for a student. And boom, 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 there's all the content. And that's it. Just go ahead and drop that in. And away it goes. ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any of these, it's now going to rewrite that, put that at an adjusted reading. Now, I could have said 5th grade or a certain lexile. I just said make it simpler, but it's up to you. You can make that as specific as you want. So we can do this on those other tools, but you can also do it directly right here in something like ChatGPT. Now, you can go further than that. Like I said, you may want to also ask it to create some support materials to go along with the article. So I could put in a prompt like this. I could say, hey, pick 10 words from the original text that would be the most challenging for a student to understand. Provide a bullet list of those 10 words along with definitions to help the students understand them. So it could be a situation where you're saying, hey, you're going to read this article. Maybe you're not re-leveling it now, or maybe you're doing both. But whatever the case, you may just say, hey, here's some words you're going to come across. This will help you as you come across those. You can refer back to this list here, and this will assist you as you're reading some of that content that you might not be familiar with. As we mentioned, we can also generate leveled, personalized content. Maybe your student isn't too excited about reading because there's not something that quite fits their interest. You could ask for a story at a certain grade level that includes a specific hobby or a topic or an animal or something that student is interested in. Or it could be something more like this. We might come in and say, hey, I want a 2nd grade reading level story, but we're really working on the S sound, initial, medial, and final word positions. And so I could ask it to generate a story, give it some guidance there, and say, let's make sure we're drilling into this particular speech goal for this particular student in this case. And there we go. We're getting the story generated. A big focus on the S sound, and of course we can go in and copy and use that if we need to. All right, all that's great. How about differentiating content? Oh my gosh, there's a lot you could do there. I actually have a whole blog post that's linked in if you want to dive into all those examples. I'm just going to do one from that. Let's do choice boards. I think that would be a great one because when it comes to differentiation, choice boards is a great way to try to reach all of our students. Say, hey, not everybody learns the same. Not everybody wants to, learn the content the exact same way or share their knowledge the same way. So I could put in a prompt like this. Hey, you're an excellent teacher. You know how to differentiate, meet the needs of all your students, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be teaching the following content. Science, grade level 5, topic, interconnections with ecosystems. So basically food webs. Here's my standard. Hey, create a list of 12 choice board activities that a student could pick from to learn about this. Make sure it aligns with this standard, but include a lot of different modalities. Have some that are tech integrated, some that aren't. Have some, varying levels of challenge. So some are a little bit easier, some a little bit more advanced. And there we go. Pop that on in there, give it a moment, and we should get 12 choice board activities. And so here they come, so we're getting things like, hey, you could have them make a food web poster. They could do a digital ecosystem infographic. We could do a food chain role play. We could do a research report. And again, I'm going to get 12 of these here. And maybe, I don't use all of them, but maybe I pull from there some that look like, oh, these are going to be a really good match for my students. Or maybe I ask for 12 more, or 10 more, or 20 more, or whatever, and I just keep going through those to find some that I think are going to be the best option. That's just one example of being able to differentiate for our students. Besides this sort of use, you could also, you might need to use these AI tools to help create other things like, IEPs or behavior intervention plans, writing letters to parents, all kinds of things like that. Just as a couple final examples, and then we will move on. Let's say we want to generate some accommodations for a student. That certainly would be an option here. So I'm just going to, again, copy and paste a prompt over. These are all in the agenda. You can just click those example links and all the prompts are there for you if you want to use these. Here's one where I'm saying, hey, you're an excellent educator who understands how to support students with special needs. Give me a list of accommodations for a student who is struggling in the following way. So I've listed out some key things that student is struggling with. and give it a moment. And now we should get a nice robust list of possible accommodations that may be appropriate for that student. So we're getting some structured social opportunities, clear communication, conversation starters, etc., etc., etc. We'll let that keep on running as it runs through and generates those. So that can be a great way to support you as you support your students. Let's just try one more and we'll finish with this. How about a draft IEP? Let's say we're going to do something like that. So I think I've got that on the list here. Yep, writing an IEP there. Let's say we're going to do that. So we could come here. And what I've put together is just a prompt that basically says, hey, write a sample IEP for a student described below. And I did 4 categories. What's their learning environment? What's their disability category? What are their current challenges? And what are their current strengths? And that's it. Go ahead and pop that on in there. Now notice I did anonymize this. While this is generating, it's worth saying that. Please, please, please don't forget about protecting student privacy. So, do not use students' names or enough information that identifies who that student is. So in this case, again, I'm describing the general situation here, but I'm anonymizing it so that what I get back here, I'm going to, of course, need to go in and fill in this content myself. So here we have the IP that's getting generated here. And we've got our annual goals and services. It's still cranking away, but it's doing a good job. Accommodations and modifications. So once this is all done, of course, again, I can copy this, I can paste this, put this into a document, and it's the beginning. It's not like this is going to do the whole job for me. I'm going to take this and I'm going to then work from this. I'll go through and tweak it and adjust it. Remember, you always have your piece of the pie. AI is not here to do your job. It is here to help you do your job better. You need to double check everything it generates, put your own, your own insights, your own understanding into that. But if it helps give you a nice foundation to begin from, that's fantastic. So there we go. That's a whole bunch of ideas on the teacher end of things. We're going to switch over to the student now. But again, all those that we just looked at there, it's all there in the agenda document under Educator Tools. We've got MagicSchool with some suggested tools, Khanmigo with some tools, Brisk with some tools, Diffit, and then AI chatbots with quite a few examples of ways those could be used. Feel free to use any of those examples. Also note that for many of these tools, I've also included a blog post and a demo video specifically about using that tool to help you go a little bit further into that. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over to students now. So for this section, we're going to be talking about using AI tools to help support students and having the students directly interact with them themselves rather than just the teacher using those tools. So because of that, I'm going to limit it to tools that are more school friendly as far as student ages go. A lot of AI tools have age restrictions. So for example, ChatGPT, you have to be 13 or above to use that. So that would eliminate a wide range of students from being able to use that tool. Plus, ChatGPT doesn't have any particular, guardrails or, monitoring options. So there's a lot of schools that just may say, no, we don't want students using that tool. So what I've chosen for this portion are tools that are designed to be used with schools, with students. They're like COPPA, FERPA compliant type things that are not collecting student data or not sharing it inappropriately. Now, as always, always check with your school, see what is approved, see what is appropriate. But just want to explain that that's what we're doing here is looking at tools like that. So these will include things like SchoolAI, MagicSchool again, Brisk again, but things like Mizu, Khanmigo, CK12 Flexi, Goblin tools, things like that. So those, just want to give you a heads up as to what my thinking is as far as the tools we're going to be looking at here. They're going to be more tools that the teacher has some control over and that are being sensitive to student personal information and data privacy. So the first one in that list is SchoolAI. If you're not familiar with it, it's an awesome AI website. Basically, here's the way it works. You, as a teacher, go and set up an account there. I'll go ahead and pull this over so you can just see what it looks like here. So you create an account. The students do not. They do not make accounts. They don't submit an email or they don't sign up or log in, nothing like that. Okay, it's you that still creates the account. After you make the account, then what you can do is you can basically go to the little spaces drop down here at the top and choose Discover. And this allows you to browse through at the moment, well, as of the recording, over 84,000 spaces. That's a lot. But basically what it is, these are custom AI chatbots that the students can interact with. And so if I scroll on down here, they've got some, that they're highlighting, but it's things like this. Maybe I want to help a student who needs to watch a video. Well, they've got the Video Explorer chatbot, which basically means, hey, watch this video, and then the AI will help them understand the video. It'll chat with them about it, quiz them on it, things like that. Or maybe a topic explorer. Maybe we're covering a certain topic in class, and I want the student to be able to chat with the AI about that topic to be like, hey, help me understand this or clarify this for me or help me go further deeper into something there. And there's lots of other ones here. You can see there's a wide range. Things like a tutoring session. Here's a topic we're going to be learning. Tutor the student on this. And there's many, 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 many more from there. But the point is what you're going to do as a teacher is you'll come in and you'll say, hey, let's create a topic explorer. And you'll put in what it is, what is the thing. They've got the water cycle in there as an example, so that's fine. We'll just put that in just for this example here. And then you can, of course, test it. You can try it out yourself and see how it's going to work. Basically, the AI is going to say, hey, we're learning about the water cycle. What do you know about it? Is there something you're curious about? And we could now interact with it and test it out. Do note there is a more options section where you can give more details, like, if they're the age of your students or something specific you want them to focus on. Well, if you're happy with all of that and you get this set up, you can now click on the launch button. And what it does is it basically creates a link. That's all it is. It's just a link. You can push that link out to Google Classroom, or you can copy the link here and then make that available however you want to give that link to your students. And then the students would simply, take that link, and when they go to click the link, they're going to get a screen that looks like this, where it asks them just for their name. Again, they're not logging in. They're not creating an account. They're not setting anything like that up. So I could just come in here and say, hey, this is Eric C. And that's it. The student can now have a one-on-one conversation with an AI chatbot on a topic that you have specifically set up. So you're learning about the water cycle. Well, now every single student can have a personalized interactive conversation with the AI about the water cycle. Now, what I love about this is that's the key. It's personalization. We're talking about supporting all of our students. Well, every student's different. There's only one of you and 125 of them, and you're trying to reach them all. That's hard, Well, AI can be that assistant. It can come alongside you, and it can provide that additional personalization so that as the students are chatting with the AI chatbot, some students maybe need more help. They're struggling a little bit. Well, the AI can reteach information. Or maybe they are doing fine, but they want to go deeper into something. Well, the AI can go deeper with them into that topic. It's going to meet each child where they're at. A couple of other key support things here. Do note it does have a speak option, so it can read it aloud to the student. And there's also a microphone, so the student can simply speak their prompts or their questions or comments if they don't want to type them. There's also a gear up here where you can go into the language settings and you can switch the entire conversation into a different language. So a lot of things there to help support the students. So as some examples here, that's just one quick example. If you pop into the agenda, you'll see I've set up several of these. Page 3 and 4, you'll see under SchoolAI, I've got a science tutor, a math tutor, an English tutor, a social studies tutor, a Food Web's Video Explorer, Boston Tea Party Topic Explorer, work through the writing process. these are, again, just a handful out of the, tens of thousands that are there. And of course, you can just create your own. There's an option just to build one from scratch. But the point is, again, a student could come here and say, yeah, I need some help with science. You give them the link, put it in Classroom, put it in Schoology, Canvas, wherever. They click the link, they come in here, they join the session, and now, hey, they can get help with science, whatever it is they're dealing with. They can explain what it is they're learning about, and Sam, the science tutor, is going to assist them with that. Or maybe it's, I need to watch this video about food webs. Well, sure thing. Yeah, I can come here, click the link, and once again, go ahead and join. I won't actually play the video for this one, but what it will do is it will give me the video. Give it a moment here to come up. There's the video. If I hit play, which again, I'm not gonna hit play right now, but if I hit play, the video would start, and then I can have a conversation with the AI about the video I'm watching. And there'll be a few spots where it intentionally pauses to ask me some pointed questions related to that part of the video. But what a great way to support a student while they're watching a video. Or the Boston Tea Party topic explored. That'd be similar to the one we saw where I did the water cycle there. How about working through the writing process? Now, this one's a lot more involved. This is not one that's just a one focus, like, hey, we're just going to talk about the water cycle. This is a much more elaborate one where it's going to walk through all of the different steps of the writing process. And so this is going to hold a student's hand and guide them through. They're going to start with pre-writing, and they're going to go back and forth as they do that. And then boom, 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 boom. They're going to work through all the steps of the writing process. So that's the idea. With something like SchoolAI, you can pick from pre-made options, or you can create your own AI chatbots that the students can interact with. And then here's the really cool thing. You can then go in and see all those interactions. Now, I didn't actually type anything into this one, so let's go and grab one of the other sessions. We'll try to find one where maybe we've got a little bit more to work with here. I'll try to grab one of my earlier ones I was playing around with, maybe the Abraham Lincoln chat. And there you go. You can see every student who's connected. And not only that, but you can click on any student and you can then see what that conversation was all about. If I come in here and I give a click on the student, I can read the entire conversation they had. What an amazing way to be able to support our students with individual, personalized conversations, but also to get insight into those, to be able to read what the student typed, what the AI typed. Many teachers have told me they have learned things about their students they never would have found out otherwise. Maybe it's a quiet student that doesn't share a whole lot, but in this case, they're able to communicate with the AI, and then the teacher can see that information. So that would be an example of an AI tool that I think is a really good match. K through 12, doesn't matter. Any grade level can use this because it adjusts to the student. It's a great way to support students. So that's one example. Heads up, MagicSchool does a very similar thing. There's a lot of crossover between those. We looked at MagicSchool earlier, and at that point, I was showing you all the teacher tools. Well, guess what? MagicSchool has a student-facing version here, so I can come to the Launch to Students option, and it's kind of similar, same idea. They call it rooms instead of spaces, so that's kind of the difference. And basically, I'll just open up one that I've already got here just so you can kind of see what it looks like to build a room. But what you do when you create a room is you give it a name, blah, 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 blah. But then what you do is you pick tools that you want available to the student in that room. Now, there's a lot of tools you can pick from, but if we're talking support, if that's the focus, if that's what we're kind of drilling into here, here's just some examples of some that could be really helpful. So things like a multiple explanations bot that will give clear explanations of a concept that you're learning about, maybe a study bot that will help you study and prepare for an upcoming quiz. How about an idea generator? How about a quiz me bot? That's great. How about summarize it? Take any text and get a good summary of it. Here we have sentence starters, Here we've got step-by-step directions for a task. Tutor me with AI. Oh, get feedback on my writing. Don't, rewrite it for me, but give me feedback. All of these are support tools. And I can add as many as I want into a room. Like this case, I added, 13 of them into this room. I just went down and added the ones that I liked into the room. And then that's it. If I want to, I can customize them. I can go in and tweak them and stuff. But basically, once that's done, now a student can come along and they can click the link. So I'll go ahead and do that here just so you can see what it looks like from a student's point of view. So again, they're going to come here. They're going to put in their name. So I'll just put in Eric C. I'll join the room. And there we go. Now, as a student, I have access to all of these tools, but you guessed it, the teacher can monitor all of those conversations. So this provides the students a school-safe, personalized spot they can go to say, hey, oh, I am doing some writing. I would like some feedback on my writing. And so the student can fill in the assignment and here's what I wrote and, boom, boom, it can generate feedback on that. Or, I do need something summarized. They can come here and they can, say this is the summary, the length I need. Here's the original text. Boom, it'll summarize it for them. You get the idea. I need to, get some tutoring, tutor me with AI. I could pop in here, describe what it is I'm needing help with. Same kind of idea, but allowing students to have that personalized support. Still on the same main focus, how about Brisk? We've seen Brisk before, but guess what? Brisk also has a student-facing portion of it. Let me see if I can demonstrate that for you real quick. What I'm going to do is pop over to that how does a caterpillar turn into a butterfly article, and I'll show you what it looks like for the student-facing version of this. So as a teacher, much like MagicSchool, much like SchoolAI, you set it up, but then you give the students a link. So basically, I would come to Brisk, and what they call this is the boost option. So it's spaces with SchoolAI, it's rooms with MagicSchool, it's boost with Brisk. And you would say, I want to make a boost student activity off of this article. And it pops and says, okay, well, what type of activity do you want to make? Do you want to tutor your student on that? Do you want an AI chatbot that's going to help them understand the content of that? Or have a debate, or have a character chat, or do a pulse check or an exit ticket? You get the idea. I could just say, hey, well, let's tutor. Let's make sure the student understands this. Let's create an AI tutor, and we'll say what grade level we want this to be. We'll hit the Brisk button, and here it goes. It's going to populate this for us and say, okay, well, according to this article, these are probably the learning objectives the student should be able to accomplish. Now, you can add your own, you can modify things, but those are good. And then you can go in to preview it, and we'll just go ahead and show you what it looks like in preview here. So basically, the AI is going to pop up and say, hey, can you tell me what you know about caterpillars turning into butterflies? And now the student is going to have a conversation with the AI as it tutors them through that content. Again, if you got it all set up, you can hit share with students. It gives you a link, and that's it. It's just a link. They click the link, put their name in, and boom, away they go. So there's a lot of tools that do that. There are others. Tools like Mizu is also another good one that does that as well. But I think a lot of those lend themselves very well to student support. Now, I do have a couple more examples here that I pulled together for students. I'll just touch on these a little bit quicker. For example, I do have Khanmigo again. I just want to be a little cautious with it this time because although Khanmigo is free for educators, unfortunately, it's currently not free for students. So that caveat in there, it does cost, but with that caveat, it does have a really nice collection of support materials to help students. There's a Tutor Me bot that can tutor in math and science and humanities. There's a writing coach that helps walk you through writing a story or writing an essay. There's some quizzing and testing things. So again, a great tool to come alongside and support students. CK12 Flexi, I'll give a shout out to that real quick if it's specifically middle school, high school, math, and science. Now, this is another one that is completely free. There's not a lot that are that way. This one is just free. There's not even a paid option. It's basically an AI tutor called Flexi that will help you with math and science, middle school and high school. And again, it doesn't give you the answers, but it assists you as you're working through problems. So that's really nice. And then the last one I had in here for students was Goblin Tools. This is another free one. There's not even a paid option, just a free one. And it has just a whole big collection of tools that could help support a student as they're working through their tasks. For example, they've got their Magic To Do option. Here, I'll pull that over so you can see what that looks like. So here's Goblin Tools. The Magic To Do option, basically you tell it what it is you're trying to do, such as, hey, I need to write a book report on Watership Down. And then you go ahead and add that in, click the little Magic To Do button. And what it does is it's going to break down that task into subtasks, saying, okay, well, here are some of the key things then that you need to work through if you're going to do that. And then the student could go in and check them off as they go, or they could break down even these tasks into smaller subtasks if they need to. And it's got several other tools in there as well. So those are the ones that I was going to share as far as generative AI tools for student use. So again, we're seeing things like SchoolAI, MagicSchool AI, Brisk Teaching, Mizu, Khanmigo, CK12 Flexi, and Goblin Tools. All of these can be used with students. Again, always check that you are using what is appropriate in your school district. Now, I do have a couple other things on the tail end of this, this particular agenda. They're not classic generative AI tools, so it's more of the old school AI rather than the new generative AI type things. But just heads up, I do have a few resources that are still AI related that can help support students. There's a shout out to some great text-to-speech AI tools, things like Read and Write, which can read content aloud for students, Helperbird, which has the immersive reader tool built into it for the same purpose. Chromebooks have the Select to Speak, where you can select text and it will read it aloud as well. And if you're using Google Lens, you can have anything read aloud. Just point your phone at pretty much anything and it will take a picture of it and read it aloud. So there's a lot of good AI tools for text-to-speech to read things aloud to students. And going the other way, there's a lot of really good speech-to-text tools where the student speaks and it types up for them. So things like Doc's voice typing does this. There's an extension called VoiceIn that will let you do the same to you speak and it types for you. And on a Chromebook, there is the dictation feature that you can turn on and just speak and it will type up for you. And of course, anytime you're using live captions, whether it's Google Meet or YouTube or Chrome slides, captions, those are also generated by AI, and that is speech to text as well to help support students. Those are, of course, a little bit more old school type of AI rather than the typical generative AI we've been looking at, but worth sharing. So thanks so much. Thanks so much for hanging out with me here. I hope you picked up some ideas on some tools that either you could use as an educator to support students, or that students could use themselves directly to help support themselves. Again, all of that can be found at bit.ly/Kurtz-AI support. Please do check out that document. And as a reminder, at the very top of the document, you'll find all of my contact information. I would love to stay in touch with you and keep learning with you. And on page 2, you will find a link to all of my AI resources. So once again, thank you so very much for taking the time to learn with me here today. And if you made it this far, please consider liking and subscribing, accessing all of my resources at controlaltachieve.com, and connecting with me at bit.ly/CAA-connect, where you'll find my email, social media links, newsletter, and more.